Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir me sada Gurave sarvalokanam Bishaje bhavaroginam Nidhaye sarvavidyanam Dakshinamurtaye namaha Ishvaro gururatmeti Murti bheda vibhagine Vyomavat vyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye namaha Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya madhyamam Asmadacharya paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Sakshat Kritam Dayanandam Paramarthasvarupinam Tattvajnana Prashastaram Pranatosmi Param Padam O Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastama Vidvishavahai Om Shanta Shanta Shanti 101st class Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum
Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum
Amukshuman Siddharthaya Tattvabodho Vidyate
Mumukshuna Bhitarthaya Tattvabodho Vidhiyate.
Then the line Evam cha
Evam cha
Vedanta Vakyaihi
Vedanta Vakyaihi
Sadguru Upadeshena cha
Satguru Upadeshena cha
Sarveshu Bhuteshu
Sarveshu Bhuteshu
Yesham Brahma Buddhirutpanna
Esham Brahma Buddhirutpanna
Te Jivan Muktaha Bhavanti.
Te Jivan Muktaha Bhavanti.
Class Badaka Bhavaha, that word alone we discussed when we started this statement. Evam cha Vedanta Vakyehi Sadguru Upadeshena cha Sarveshu Bhuteshu Esham Brahma Buddhirutpanna Te Jivan Muktaha Bhavanti. So, this is the last the topic. Jivan Mukta, that is Jnana Palam. The result of Jnanam The result of Mahavakya Jnanam, Mahavakya Upadesha Jnanam. Mahavakyam is Akhandartha Bodhaka Vakyam, Jiva Brahmaika Vakyam, the oneness between Jiva and Ishvara. What is the result of this knowledge? That is being said. And also, how this knowledge is gained, should be gained, that also mentioned. So therefore, two things are there in this line. One is how the knowledge is gained. And that is the method of gaining knowledge. The second part is the result of jnanam. How the knowledge is gained? The knowledge is not gained by oneself. It is not gained just by sitting in meditation, by just entertaining the thought, who am I, or any other book. It is not gained. It is attained only by Vedanta Vakyehi. Vedanta means the end portion of the Veda. Vakya meaning sentence. So Vedanta Vakya, the sentences of the Veda Anta, the last portion of the Veda. There are two types of Vakyas in Vedanta. In Veda, let us take only Vedanta. Veda as a whole, we know. Veda Purva and Veda Anta. We are interested in Jnanam, therefore Veda Anta. Therefore, Vakyas of the Veda Anta, Vedanta. Two types of Vakyas. One is Amantara Vakya, other one is Mahavakya. Mahavakya, the great sentence, the great equation that reveals the oneness between Jiva and Ishvara. The famous Mahavakyams, we know. We saw Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnanam Brahma, Ayamatma Brahma, Sayaschayam Purushe, Yaschasavaditye, Sayekaha. That is also Mahavakyam only. Mahavakyam need not be a simple sentence. It can be a simple sentence, small sentence, or it can be a long one, but still Mahavakyam only. That also we discussed in some class in detail. The other type of Vakya is Avantara Vakya. That is, if you say Mahavakya as the primary Vakyas, primary sentences, Avantara Vakyas are the secondary Vakyas. For example, is a Shariratraya Viveka or Panchakosha Viveka. There, Jiva is talked about by Shariratraya Viveka and Panchakosha Viveka, where what is the topic of those Prakaranam? Jiva only. Similarly, when we talk about the Srishti, there Ishvara is presented as the Srishtikarta. Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti. That is Ishvara. So, Avantara Vakya also, Jiva Bodhaka Vakyas, that is the Vakya which talks about the Jiva, and the Vakyas which talk about the Ishvara. Ishvara Bodhaka Vakya, that talks about Ishvara. There are two types of Avantara Vakya, the secondary sentences. Primary sentence is Mahavakya, oneness between Jiva and Ishvara. Avantara Vakyas are secondary sentences That are also two types, Jiva Bodhaka, Ishvara Bodhaka iti. And Jiva Bodhaka Vakyas also, if you see, there the Jiva is presented or described in terms of the Upadhi. That is one type. And Swarupa of Jiva is presented. That is another type. So this is subtype. Within Avantara Vakya, there are two types I told, Jiva Bodhaka Vakya, Ishvara Bodhaka Vakya, and within Ishvara Bodhaka Vakya, Ishvara is described in terms of this Upadhi, and Jiva is described from this Swarupa standpoint. Two subtypes, two types. Similarly, Ishvara also presented with Upadhi, and Swarupam of Ishvara also presented. Just a Swarupam. Then the Swarupa is equated, that is Mahavakya. So, within the Avantara Vakya and within the Jiva Bodhaka Avantara Vakya, Ishvara Bodhaka Avantara Vakya, there are two types. Description of Jiva or Ishvara in terms of Upadhi, and presenting the Swarupa of Jiva and Ishvara, that is another type. Now, Vedanta Vakya means Avantara Vakya as well as Mahavakya. Vedanta Vakya, both are in Vedanta. So, the knowledge of Ishvara, how do you gain? By understanding both the Vakyas. The knowledge of Ishvara, Brahma, comes only by understanding both the Vakyas of Vedanta. We need both Avantara Vakya as well as Mahavakya. For understanding Mahavakya, for interpreting Mahavakya, for doing Vichara on Mahavakya, we need Avantara Vakya. Avantara Vakyas are important. What is Jiva to be told? Already we told, described with Upadhi. Upadhi is later dismissed as Mithya. Similarly, Ishvara. So, therefore, description of Jiva and Ishvara separately and in terms of Upadhi, and the Swarupa of them, Shuddha Chaitanya Miti. Later, both are equated. Finally, only the Mahavakya. So, these are the Vakyas in the Vedanta. Now, these Vakyas, if one, without the help of the teacher, if one studies these Vakyas, one will end up in either in confusion or will have own speculation. Because there are Vakyas which may seem to be contradictory, they are not really contradiction. There are many Vakyas like that, seemingly contradictory Vakyas. Those Vakyas, if a person reads on its own, then the person will get confused. These Vakyas are, even though it is there, it is just like it is locked. It is kept in lock. It has to be opened. And the key of opening this Vakya, unfolding the meaning of the Vakya, is with the Sampradaya, is with the tradition. So therefore, only tradition is emphasized. Those who come under the tradition, those who have received the knowledge in the tradition, traditionally, from a teacher, that person only knows how to handle the words, how to unlock the words, unlock the meaning of the words, and therefore the vichara, how to analyze a sentence, approach a sentence, the vakya, he knows. That person is whom we call Guru, Sat Guru, Guruhu, Sat Guruhu, Sadguruhu, Sat cha Asau Guruhu cha Karmadaraya Samasa. Sadguruhu. What is Sadguruhu? Sat means what? Sat means good teacher. That is, Sadguru means the one who has learned or who has received the teaching from another teacher in that tradition, in the lineage, is not the one who suddenly on its own effort gain something and become guru. Not that person. Therefore, the one who comes under the tradition, who knows the methodology of communication, who knows the methodology of the analysis, the vichara, and who is in the Guru Parampara, that person only is Sadguru. In fact, what Sadguru means, Sampradayavit. Sampradayavit is Sadguru. Vit means knower, the knower of the Sampradaya. The one who comes under the Sampradaya, he knows what the teaching is and he knows the methodology of communication. Because the one who comes in the tradition, he knows very well the truth being Satyam, truth being one, the truth cannot be improved, and therefore he will never attempt to modify or improve upon it, because it is not possible, it is not improvable. This is not science. Science can be continuously improved. It is subject to experimentation, it's subject to analysis, subject to growth. Science grows, it's ever growing. And the growth is exponential now. Even further it can grow. It can grow and grow and grow till it reaches the sky. It can grow. Continuous growth. That is why what we studied 20 or 25 years before, that is not valid now. It has become obsolete. The model or the theory, what you read before, Dalton theory of atom. We all would have studied this school, Dalton theory of atom. Atom is indivisible. That is what he said. Dalton theory. And later his student himself, I think Rutherford or Niels Bohr, somebody. He further did research and he found electrons, protons, neutrons. And that is the final, they said. No, that is not final. Further, there is something called a meson. Further, something called subparticles, final God particle. It's going on. So therefore, it is continuously improved upon. They can never come to an end. Science attempts to know that, and that is not fixed. What is that is? When you go and touch that, that moves far away. And when you go and touch that, that still moves away. So it keeps on moving. It keeps on moving. It is not really moving. It is like touching the sky. You cannot touch it. Similarly, science cannot arrive at the truth, the Satyam. That is why Vedanta is different, science is different. What science reveals, over which Vedanta has got nothing to say, nothing to do. Similarly, what Vedanta reveals, on that science has got no say. If somebody says Vedantic science, Vedic science, or Vedic mathematics, there's nothing called Vedic science or Vedic mathematics. It has no connection with the science. If at all something is mentioned in the Veda, that is not the Tattvabodha of the Veda, even about science. If it is mentioned, that is not the Tattvabodha of the Veda. Because it is knowable through science. When it is knowable through science, What Vedanta has to do as a Pramanam? It is available for science, that's a separate Pramanam, that is Pratyakshadi Pramanam. Through that, it is knowable. What Vedanta has to do? Vedanta being a separate Pramanam, it cannot interfere with the other Pramanam, science. Similarly, science cannot interfere with the Vedanta. Anadikata, Abadita, Arthavata, Jnana Janakam Pramanam. Vedanta being a valid Pramanam, it cannot talk about science, and science also cannot talk about Vedanta. But Vedanta talks about that which not improvable. Science always subject to growth. So therefore only we say, if anybody says Vedanta also science, spiritual science, there is nothing called spiritual science. All these are the misleading words. Spiritual science, spiritual scientist, subjective scientist. All these words are misleading words without knowing what it is. When you use a word spiritual scientist or subjective scientist, it means you don't know what Pramanam is. You don't know what Vedanta is. Without knowing Vedanta, what it is, what Pramanam is, these words are used. Because science involves investigation, exploration, which can be done only with the Pratyakshadi Pramana. Vedanta doesn't depend on the Anumanadi Pramanam. Pratyaksha, of course, it is the Mula Pramanam that is required for all the Pramanam. So, Vedanta as a separate Pramanam doesn't depend on any other Pramanam. It is Swataf Pramanam. So, therefore, the one who comes in the tradition knows how to handle this Pramanam, because this Pramanam is outside. Therefore, it has to be given. One cannot, or one doesn't have access to this Pramanam on its own. That is why said it cannot be studied on its own, even though it is available in paperbacks, in books, the book form. So can I pick up some book, Gita, Bhagavad Gita from the shelf? Gita as it is, book is there. If you read, then you will understand that it is not Gita as it is Gita as it is not supposed to be. Because they talk about something which, applying our common sense, can easily dismiss that. So, at least that book also we can accept, because it is a different school of philosophy. They are Dvaita philosophy, but there are some interpretations on the Gita authored by some people who have not studied Gita and have studied Gita book from different authors and have made one book on its own. That if you have come across all these books and if you study, then you will end up in problem, confusion only. Therefore, only when you look for a acharya, for a teacher, you should look for the person who comes in that tradition, sampradaya. Then only the person is called Sadguru. The word Sadguru is applicable to the person who comes under the sampradaya. That's why sampradaya, with important word sampradaya. Sampradaya, dadatu. Da means giving. In the tradition, samyak pradiyate. It is well given. The sampradaya, it is well given. The teaching is well given. Samyak, that is given, making sure that a receiver doesn't have any doubts. He has cleared all the doubts. Therefore, the knowledge is, it is clear knowledge, drida jnanam. Therefore, sampradaya, with that is what is referred to by the word Sadguru. So, therefore, Sadguru is important. And Vedanta Vakya, the teaching given by the Sadguru. Sadguru Upadeshena. What is Upadesha he gives? Does he give teaching of its own? No. What is there in the Vedanta, that alone he gives. That alone he gives. That is why that we say, when we define Shraddha, Vedanta Vakyeshu, Guru Vakyeshu, Vedanta Vakyeshu cha Vishwasaha Shraddha. Shraddha cannot be translated. Intranslatable word. Having Shraddha in the words of the Shastram and in the words of the Guru. They are not two different words. What is uttered by the Guru is what is there in the Shastram. Shastram is first, Guru is second. Guru has received the Jnanam from his Guru, and the Jnanam is what the Shastram reveals. So therefore, what Guru speaks is, he speaks only the Shastram. So therefore, Vedanta Vakya, that is the sentences, the statements, that is Upadesha, by which what? By which you gain Brahma Vidya. By which you gain Brahma Vidya. During sannyasa, they give Mahavakya Upadesha. This Tattvamasi, Prajnanam Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi. This is a Vakya, it is given at the end of this sannyasa ceremony. Mahavakya Upadesha. This Upadesha is not like the Mantra Upadesha. That is the Gayatri Mantra Upadesha or any other Upadesha. That is different. There you have to utter the mantra so many times, do japa of the mantra. But here, it is not for doing japa. It is for contemplating. It is for doing nididhyasana. The knowledge has been gained. Now, the knowledge to give, for the knowledge to become real, that is in the sense, to gain the palam of the jnanam, the result of the jnanam, you have to do mananam and nididhyasanam. Even if you have done mananam, the nididhyasanam to be done for jnana nishta. Jnana nishta. Therefore, only this upadesha is given. So, upadesha means instruction or the teaching, and the teaching should be, the teaching is exposing oneself to the teaching, to the instruction of the teacher for a length of time, sufficient length of time. So, regularly, systematically exposing, that is to the systematic teaching, regularly exposing for a length of time. That is called the receiving the knowledge. That is called Shravanam. Exposing oneself to the teaching of the teacher, and the teaching is systematic because it is presented by the teacher who comes in the tradition. Therefore, one has to expose to that for sufficient length of time. Till the sufficient length of time means it can be 5 years, or it can be 20 years, or it can be 25 years, or 30 years, 50 years, or it may be next Janma also, we don't know. It all depends on individual. There are pratibandhas. There are obstacles. There are obstacles. What is pratibandha? In the Panchadashi class, we saw pratibandha asti. We saw in the Panchadashi class, there a group of students are chanting, and the son of the Devadatta is also chanting. The voice of the son Devadatta is not clear. Why? Because of the chorus chanting. We saw Bahubhiki Sakapatanam. Therefore, it is not audible. It is not clear. But the Drishtanta Vidyarana Muni described what is Pratibandha. Pratibandhosti Bhatiti Yavaharargavastuni Tannirasya Viruddhasya Tasyotpadanamuchyate iti. What is Pratibandha? He beautifully described. That is the definition of Pratibandha. Asti Bhati iti Vyavaharargavastuni Tannirasya Viruddhasya Tasya Utpadanam Pratibandha iti uchyate. So what is Pratibandha? Pratibandha is that Asti Bhati, that Brahma, that 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 is dismissed, and opposite of that. That knowledge is dismissing that knowledge, and the knowledge opposite to that is produced. That is because of that is Pratibandha. So everybody or everyone has Pratibandha, different Pratibandha. The intensity of Pratibandha differs. Therefore, there is no equal time for everyone. So you till one understands, one has to keep on exposing, keep on studying the Shastra. There is no gradation, there is no marks, or there is no gradation. First grade, second grade, there is no gradation. So why? Because everybody has to work on many pratibandhas, obstacles, which could be adhyatmika, adibhaudika, adidevika. That is why this trivida tapashanti, we do shantihi iti. So therefore, till the knowledge is firm, one has to expose oneself to this jnanam. The teacher gives the jnanam first, and later the student has to contemplate on the jnanam, on the teaching. That is called jnana nishta. That is called jnana nishta. Brahma abhyasa. Nididhyasanam, we say. Okay. Then, having done this, what happens then? Yesham Brahma Buddhirutpanna, by the Upadesha of the Guru, by the Vedanta Vakya, Sarveshu Bhuteshu, with reference to all the beings, it is Vishay Saptami, Sarveshu Bhuteshu, Yesham Buddhihi Utpanna, that knowledge which is produced, in whom they are called Jivan Muktaha Bhavanti. They become Jivan Muktaha. That is a Jnana Palam. Who become Jivan Mukta? Who becomes? Those in whom this knowledge takes place. Guru Upadeshena Vedanta Vakyaihi cha Brahma Buddhihi Utpanna te Jivan Muktaha Bhavanti. Those in whom that this knowledge takes place, this Brahma Vidya takes place, they become free. That is the Palam. Jivan Muktaha. Jivan eva Muktaha. While living, they are free. Then what to talk about the freedom after death? Videha Muktaha eva. Therefore, through the knowledge gained by the Vedanta Vakya, as revealed by the Sadguru, they become Jivan Muktaha. Evam, in this manner, Yesham Brahma Buddhihi Utpanna. Utpanna means born. What is born? Brahma Buddhihi. Buddhihi means here Jnanam. Brahma Jnanam Utpannam. Yesham Brahma Jnanam Utpannam. Buddhihi means knowledge. What is the knowledge? Agam Brahma Eva iti Buddhihi. That is the knowledge. Brahma Buddhihi. Utpanna. Yesham Utpanna. Those in whom it is Utpanna, it is born, it is produced. Te Jivan Muktaha Bhavanti. Agam eva Brahma. Agam Brahmasmi iti eva Buddhihi. Brahma Buddhihi Utpanna, born. Jagat Karanam Brahma Agam Asmi iti Buddhihi Utpanna. Yesham. The knowledge in which is born in whom they become Jivan Muktaha, they become free, they become liberated. And how many Brahmams are there? There are not many Brahmans. There is only Ekam Brahma. There is only one Brahma. That is why Advaitam. Since we have the perception of two, therefore we negating that we say Advaitam, Abheda, iti. Therefore, with reference to all beings, there is only one Brahma. Beings are many. Brahma is Ekam Eva. Why we have to say Brahma is Ekam? Because beings are many, and therefore we may think manyness. is the reality. No, that is not the reality. In spite of many, there is only Ekam. With reference to all the bodies and minds of all beings, bodies are different, minds are different. Stula Sharirams are different, all the Shariyatrayams are different. But Atma is Ekaha Eva, Brahma is Ekam. Bodies are many, in that bodies, the beings are there, all the beings function through the bodies. Therefore, we may think Atmas, there are many Atmas. No. Sarveshu Bhuteshu, with reference to all the beings, Atma is Ekaha Eva, and that Atma is Brahma, and that is Satyam. Everything else is Mithya. In fact, there is no everything. There is no other thing than Brahma. Brahma Ekam. Everything being Brahma, how can there be anything other than Brahma? Therefore, the word everything itself is not correct. It is Mithya. Everything gets resolved into that thing which is Ekam, then that doesn't have a second thing, that is Brahma. And therefore only we say all the things, other things, beings are Mithya. Mithya means they don't have separate existence apart from Brahma. Therefore only Mithya, Brahma Satyam. Therefore only Brahma Satyam. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha iti. And that Brahma is Aham. Aham Brahma Asmi. Anything other than me, which exists in the form of this Nama Rupatmaka Jagat, that is also Brahma. That is also Brahma. Jagat is Mithya. So what is there is Brahma only. That Brahma is myself. Therefore, myself and this Jagat Karanam, that Jagat is Srishtikata is Ishvara, is also Brahma. Therefore, as Jiva Aham Brahma, as Ishvara is also Brahma. Therefore, both are Brahma, both are Chaitanyam, Shuddha Chaitanyam. Therefore, there is Aikyam. This Aikyam, this knowledge, this Aikyam, how do you gain this? This Aikyam being a knowledge. Therefore, the knowledge, when it says knowledge, any knowledge, it comes only by exposing oneself to the means of knowledge. Exposing oneself to the means of knowledge. This knowledge cannot be produced by karma. Can action produce this aikyam? No. Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmanaha nirvedamayat nastya kritakritena kritena karmana akritaha mokshaha na karmana na prajaya dhane na tyage naike amritatvamanashuhu. Not by karma. So this aikyam, this knowledge, this aikya jnanam, that alone is moksha. That cannot be produced by any karma. This is aikyam is a jnanam, it's a knowledge. So it is a fact that is to be gained by Jiveshwara aikyam is a fact. It's a truth, satyam. That is to be gained by jnanam, knowledge. Therefore, only the word buddhihi is that Brahma buddhihi. Sarvam Brahma iti buddhihi, Brahma buddhi. All is Brahma. What is here is only Ishvara, Bhagavan alone. That includes me also. When we say all, then you say all, don't exclude you. You are also included in the all. So everything means I am also included. Sarvam Brahma iti, that buddhihi. If a ghata, a pot, takes itself to be a pot, then the pot will be in problem. The pot is in samsara. If a pot takes itself to be a pot, then it becomes limited. But if it takes itself to be the clay, then sarveshu mritprindeshu, with reference to all objects made of clay, with reference to all objects made of clay, what would be that? The clay is there. So if the pot takes itself to be clay, then it is all pervasive. with reference to all objects of clay, I am alone there. Therefore, mrit buddhihi, what the pot, the ajnana ghata, that ignorant pot, what the ignorant pot requires is this mrit buddhi, not ghata buddhihi. Similarly, human beings also, we also, Manushya's also require what? Not Sharira Buddhi. Sharira Buddhi is Ajnana. I am this Shariram, confined to this Shariram, Ajnana. What Buddhi is required? Brahma Buddhi. As the Swarupa of the pot is nothing but clay, similarly the Swarupa of me, myself is also Brahma. Therefore, with reference to all the beings are like my Shariram, they are all Anatma and they are Brahma only. The Sharirams are Anatma, but the truth is the indwell Dehi is Atma only, as in the case of the pot. When the pot has Mrit Buddhi, the pot is Jivan Muktaha. If the pot has Gata Buddhi, then pot is in samsara pot. Similarly, with reference to all the ornaments, Sarveshu Abharaneshu, Swarna Buddhi, that is, a bangle is there. A bangle think itself to be a kankanam. Kankanam is bangle. Kankana buddhi. If a bangle has got kankana buddhi, then it is in samsara. But the same bangle, if it has got swarna buddhi, aham gold, swarnam, asmiti, that buddhi is there. Then sarveshu abharneshu, with reference to all the ornaments, what is there is gold only. I alone is there. Who can say this bangle, even though confined, as though confined by the Nama Rupa, it can say, when the Kankana Buddhi is replaced by Swarna Buddhi, then it is Sarveshu Avarneshu, Aham eva vartate iti, it can say, Aham eva varte iti. Then it is free from any limitation. So, therefore, similarly, with reference to all the names and forms, Sarveshu Bhuteshu, I alone as Brahma exist. Therefore, those who have this Brahma Buddhi, those who have no doubt that Atma is Satyam, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Ahamasmi, they become Jivan Muktaha. While living itself, they become free. So freedom is here and now. Freedom is not a postmortem job. It is not after Maranam. It is here and now. So while living itself, one has the opportunity or eligibility to discover this truth, this freedom. So, Jivan Muktaha, they discover the freedom. The freedom is unlimited. That is, Aham free. I am free. Nothing can limit me. Nothing can limit. So, therefore, when they become free from living, from limitation, when they become free from any sort of limitation while living, what to talk about freedom after death? That is the result of this Brahma Vidya, this knowledge. This is a knowledge revealed by Vedanta. By Vedanta through the words of the Guru. So, this is a knowledge to be gained. Having obtained this Manusha Sharira, if a person doesn't attempt, then it is wasted. Iga chet avedhit atasatyam asti. Na chet iha avedhit mahati vinashtihi. This is a knowledge to be gained now. If it is not gained, mahati vinashtihi, there will be a great loss. So, and this is what in the same thing is told in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad in a different way. Kripanaha, those who have obtained this Manushya Shariram, they don't work for moksha, they are Kripanaha iti. In Gita also, Arjuna says, Karpanya doshaha, Kripanasya bhavaha karpanyam, upagata swabhavaha iti. So, Kripanaha is having obtained this Manushya Shariram, which is rare, that's a great wealth, the person doesn't use this wealth and spends his time only in Arthakama, Arthakama pursuit, then the person life is wasted. He is a Kripana, doesn't know how to use the great wealth. So therefore, Mahati Vinashtihi iti. And how did Jivan Mukta get this knowledge? Vedanta Vakyehi Sadguru Upadeshena. So Vedanta Vakyehi Sadguru Upadeshena cha, as a result of analyzing Vedanta Vakya and also by listening to the Upadesha of the Guru, person gets Brahma Buddhi. Here, Vedanta Vakyas are the Pramanam, the means of knowledge. I told Vedanta is only Pramanam, the means for gaining this knowledge, Brahma Jnanam. And when we say Pramanam, need to understand here important thing, they are not the Pramanam to establish the existence of Atma. Vedanta as a Pramanam, not meant for establishing the existence of Atma. Atma is ever existent. Atma is already existing. It is self-evident. Whenever you say I am is Atma. It is evident, self-evident. When you say Aham Bandaha, Aham Samsari, Aham Atma, there also Aham you are saying. I am is always revealed. It is self-evident. Bandaha Samsari, that is your superimposition, Adhyaropa. Therefore, Atma is Nitya, Paroksham or Aparoksham. Nitya Aparoksham it is. Not Paroksha, not something to be gained after Maranam. It is Nitya Aparoksha. It is ever self-evident. What mistake we do is we take Atma to be Anatma. That's a problem. That is what to be rectified. That is what to be corrected by the teaching, by the knowledge. The knowledge removes this error. Therefore, knowledge doesn't reveal the existence of Atma. The knowledge reveals the Ajnanam of Atma. The Upadesha of the teacher, doesn't produce some new knowledge, it just removes Ajnanam. So here also you can understand this. Ajnanam is Jnana Virodhi. That is why I said it is Jnana Virodhi. Ajnanam, na jnanam, nanch tatpurusha samasa. That nanch can be abhavarte nanch, anyarte nanch, virodharte nanch. It is different types of nanch is there. Here it is not abhavarte, na anyarte. It is virodharte. In the wake of knowledge, ajnanam goes away. Therefore, the teaching doesn't establish the existence of Atma. It just removes ajnanam. After that, the Pramanam has done the job. After that, this Pramanam is of no use. That is also to be dismissed as Mithya, not required. Once the Pramanam has done the job, then what is the point in holding to the Pramanam? Don't hold on to the Pramanam, then don't hold on to the Guru also. Both are done. Both have done their job. Then where is Guru? Where is Shastram? You are that Brahma. So there is no Guru and there is no Shastram. So therefore, Ayam Samsari Anatma, that is the wrong conclusion. The conclusion also in the form of knowledge. That is wrong knowledge. And Vedanta says, Agam Purnaha, Agam Nityaha iti. Agam Samsari, you say, Vedanta says, Agam Purnaha, you are complete, you are Purna. So your conclusion is wrong conclusion. That's why only Vedanta is required. Teaching and Vedanta, as I said, it is to be taught, to be received. Because already you have got self-conclusion, Aham Samsari Anatma. So that has to be replaced by the Jnanam. Therefore, teaching is required. Vichara is involved, therefore teaching. And Vedanta, as I said, doesn't reveal the existence of Atma. It is just the removal of Ajnanam. When there is removal, then It has to be properly, the student has to be properly guided. That only teacher can do. Therefore, Sadguru Upadeshena iti. So, therefore, no new knowledge is created by Vedanta. You are there in all the knowledge, all the time, you being there. Without being there, how can there be any knowledge? Therefore, how can there be the pursuit of Vedanta also? Even the very pursuit of Vedanta, you have to be there. So without the pramata, without the knower, there is no pursuit of knowing. There is no pramana pravritti. Therefore, Vedanta as a pramanam is only in removing the ignorance regarding Atma and confusion between Atma and Anatma. That because there is a mix-up. There is a mix-up of both, where in your mind, Atma and Anatma, they cannot really combine. There is no mix-up of Atma and Anatma, but there is a mix-up. That is called Maya. Agatita Gatana Patiyasi Maya. That which is impossible is made possible by Maya. Ajnanam. Atma and Anatma cannot be mixed. There is no Chit Jada Granthi. There is no Granthi possible. How can there be a mix-up of consciousness and this Shariram, this Anatma? Atma is Chit, consciousness. Anatma is that which is not Atma, Anatma. All the other, this Shariram, etc., Koshas, etc. How can they mix? They cannot mix, but it is mixed up. Where? In your buddhi. Therefore, that buddhi to be replaced by Jnana buddhi, Brahma buddhi. So, therefore, the self-existent, self-evident Atma is not known to me as Brahma. It's not known to be as Brahma. To know that as Brahma, we don't have any other means other than Shastram. Therefore, only Shastram is the Pramanam. Therefore, only Vedanta Vakya, the word is there. All the other Pramanam like Pratyaksha, Anumana, Artha, Patya, Anupalabdhi, etc., they are not meant for knowing this Brahma. In fact, these are the means which the Pramata, the knower, applies, the employs to know things and objects which can be objectified. Therefore, only we say they are all Paurishaya Pramanam. There is no way of knowing the truth of the very Pramata with all the available means of knowledge. Yes, a Pramata handles the means of knowledge like Anumana, Arthapati, etc. But is there any possibility that through this means the knowledge of the very Pramata can be gained? No. There is no, the Pramata can operate all the means of knowledge, but there is no way of knowing the Swarupa of Pramata by these means of knowledge. Therefore, only this Pramata has to be exposed to the teaching of Vedanta Vakya to know that he is Brahma. So, therefore, only Vedanta Vakya. So, Shastram talks about Lakshyartha. Shastram talks about Lakshyartha. Other than Shastram, any other discipline of knowledge, they talk only about Vachyartha. Even Veda Purva, the whole Veda is a Pramanam. Even Veda Purva, if you take, Veda Purva takes into account your body mind sense complex, and therefore it provides various means for fulfilling their different ends like Dharma, Artha, etc. So they take into account your body mind sense complex, Veda Purva, the Karma Kanda of the Veda. Only through Vedanta, only in Vedanta or only through Vedanta, you can know the Swarupam of Paramata. Veda Purva also, by Veda Purva also, you cannot know the Swarupam of Paramata because Veda Purva, they provide different means for gaining different ends, and the ends to be enjoyed through the Shariram, this body mind sense complex, either in this world or in any other world. Whichever world you go, there you will have a special Shariram. Through that you enjoy, you become a Bhukta. But is there possibility to know the Swarupa of the Pramata through Veda Purva? No. That's why you have to come to Vedanta. Only through Vedanta you can know the Swarupam of Pramata. So, what is moksha is really knowing the Swarupam of Pramata is called moksha. Knowing the Swarupam of the very knower. Knowing the knower is moksha. Knowing the knower is freedom. What is freedom is knowing the knower. How can the knower be known? The knower cannot know by himself. The knower can be made to know only by the Sadguru who comes in the tradition through the Vakyas of the Vedanta. He only operates a Pramanam. Therefore, without operating the Pramanam, and Pramata cannot operate it, Pramata doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't have to become Karta. No action is involved. So, therefore, the Guru operates the Pramanam and gives this knowledge. Therefore, only Vedanta Vakyegi Sadguru Upadeshena, this Brahma Buddhi Utpanna, they alone become Jivan Muktaha. They become free. While living, they become free. So, that is the greatness of the Shastram. That is the greatness of the Shastram and the teacher in the tradition. So two things are talked about. Two important things in this line, which can be emphasized again and again. One is Vedanta Vakya, that is a Pramanam, and that Pramanam has to be handled by a teacher. Through that only knowledge comes, knowledge flows. Therefore, two important things without which Jnanam is not possible is Pramanam, other one is the handler of the Pramanam. For knowing what? For knowing the nature of the very knower. Knowing the knower. For knowing the knower, which is moksha. Knowing the knower is knowing the swarupa, the reality of the knower. Because the knower takes himself to be confined to this sharira, body, mind, senses, sharira trayam or panchakosha. Therefore, that knowledge has to be dismissed by the right knowledge. So, therefore, knowing the swarupa of the pramata. The pramata through all is the available pramanam, yes, concluded wrongly. Therefore, to remove that wrong conclusion, wrong conclusion can be removed only by Shastra. Therefore, only these two things are emphasized. Otherwise, why it is required? Any one thing is enough. Vedanta Vakya is enough. There is no Sadguru Upadeshena cha and Sadguru Upadesha not required. Or just Vedanta Vakya is not required. Just Sadguru Upadeshena, that much is enough. No, both things are mentioned. So now then you can understand the importance of the Pramanam and the handler of the Pramanam. So who is a Guru? The one who handles the Pramanam is called Guru. Handling the Pramanam and communicating it to the Shishya is called a Guru. And what is moksha? Knowing the knower. That is called moksha. That is the Brahma Buddhi. Yesham Utpanna te Jivan Muktaha Bhavanti. They become free. Iti. So this is the last topic, Jnana Palam. Then we'll continue the next line in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಗುರುಜಿ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಗುರುಜಿ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
Dhanyavad ji, one doubt. You said something akatita gata maya, something. I want that sentence.
Aghatita Gatana Patiyasi Maya. Maya Panchakam
Oh,
by Shankaracharya. He says that Aghatita Gatana Patiyasi Maya. Maya which makes the impossible possible.
okay.
Patiyasi means skilled, dexterous. One who has the capability, the capacity to make the Agatita Gatana, that which is impossible. Patiyasi.
Agatita. Huh?
Agati Agha Mahaprana Agha Agatita Gatana Patiyasi Maya. We will study Maya Panchakam in one class. Panchakam,
Okay.
simple text. Many Panchakams are there. We will do when we have time after completing this.
Okay. Okay, ji. Dhanyavad.